Let's start with talking about the marquee matchup of the match day 2, which was PSG Barcelona. A huge storyline going into it was all the injuries that we saw, not just from PSG but also Barcelona too. But PSG had more of the notable absentees. How do you think they done without those guys?
Outstanding. And Jaydee teed it up in terms of the marquee storyline. I think we saw a good manager in Hansi Flick get outsmarted and outclassed by a great manager in Luis Enrique. And at halftime, you really saw tactics at work. Bradley Barcola started the match on the left-hand side. Second half, the right-hand side dominated the game. And for him to go into Barcelona, a place where he's already had glory, he won the treble. This was a statement performance by Luis Enrique and PSG that there's a bit of miles between them and the rest of the competition. Minus 4 starters that weren't there from the Champions League final. And you go and you knock off the so-called challengers to the throne. I mean, this is a day that PSG fans will remember in the Champions League for a long time.
Hannah, there's not many times I sit on this sofa and I think to myself, wow, have I been surprised by that? Or is that something that has raised my eyebrows, as I say? And this result has raised my eyebrows because, as my boy Mike just said, right, as Nigel enters the fray right now, like,
hey, Nigel.
you know as well as the rest of us, Nige, that this is difficult. To go to Barcelona to dominate with the absent players that they had, regardless of how full strength their midfield was or whatever else, it was one of those performances that Luis Enrique can hold up and say, that was my night. That was a tactical masterclass that I did. I know what he's coming with.
Where would you like me to start?
I know what he was coming with.
Do we talk about the...
I know what he's coming with.
Hannah, where would you like me to start?
I know first of all, let's start. Nigel, how was the Golazo?
It was a fantastic show. Yeah. Lots of goals, lots of great talking points. I'd have to say it was another day, Hannah, where football won. So it had a really great show. It was fantastic.
Lovely. So what do you want to say to Jaydee about this game?
Well, I mean, let's start at the very top first. Right? Yeah. So yesterday we had a discussion where it was a 2v1 where certain members of this panel thought I was crazy.
You can call names.
Wait, you called it.
You can call names.
I said, right now, PSG are the best side in world football. They are the more balanced side. They are the best team in world football. Then we discussed about the injuries that they're going through, that it won't be a fair reflection. But yet, they still went to Barcelona again, and they beat them. Which goes to my point to say they are the better, balanced side because they can adapt better than Barcelona choose to. They will still continue to play this high line, and it will never get them success to be able to win a Champions League because they only know one style of play, which is fine. It's great to watch in the eyes. It's great. But PSG are the better adapted football that's more balanced. And Mr. Jaydee sitting over there thought I was crazy and bonkers and said, no, Barcelona are the best side in the world. And so did Marco, who was sitting here yesterday. But I stood my ground, and today PSG showed and proved why they are the best side in the world. But before you jump in again,
go on.
I would just like to say...
Because we had the first 3 minutes about you, so I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind. It's fair. My boy deserves his time. Hit the floor.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say, overall, though, that game, football won. It was a great game of football. We took back to nostalgia days of both teams going at it. And some people will make the mistake to think, oh, it's because it's PSG and Barcelona. Yes, it plays a point in the sense of because of how big these clubs are and the history that they've, recent history, you'd say more so of PSG and European side, and compared to Barcelona. But it's because you've got two managers who play to win football matches. They don't go out there and put a team to play for the draw. That is why we were so entertained with the game that we got to witness today. Yes, they have some world-class players, and you've got one of the best players in the world in Lamine Yamal playing today as well. But it was the approach of the managers that deserve credit because regardless who they're going up, both teams would have played that same way and same style, playing football matches to win, which is why it was entertaining for us and for any neutral watching. That is what we want to see. A bit of old school 1v1s, players going at each other. Yes, players were making mistakes, but it was great to watch than overcoached football that we see some of these teams play nowadays, where managers are telling players where to pass the ball every minute and second of the game. There was more freedom about it, and that's why it was exciting. And just to end it off, PSG are the best side in world football.
I know he's going to double down on this, right? And that's rightfully so, because the statement from tonight I think definitively says that they're the best team in world football. I won't argue with that. You've turned my mind. But what I will say is the tactical approach and the masterclass I saw from Luis Enrique is what has raised my eyebrow more than anything. Because the trust in those teenagers to go out there and showcase what they can do on one of the biggest stage is one thing. They've already shown out that they're up there in terms of, maybe not in the Yamal standard in terms of the wonder kids, but there are some world-class talent that PSG have that are out here and ready to showcase what they can do. But also, I think the X card, or bringing Ramos off the bench, knowing full well that Barcelona are going to be overstretched and what they can turn into from a tactical perspective, I think was the actual stroke of genius. Bringing him off the bench and knowing how clinical he can be in the final third.
Don't worry.
Wow.
You talk about Hakimi there. He'll be one of those players that will be running up and down that pitch for 100 minutes. Such an important player for this PSG side, isn't he, Michael?
Yeah, so much focus was put on Lamine Yamal, and he wasn't even the best player on the field by a country mile. I stand on that because you look at what he did on just this heat map alone. Marshaled the entire right-hand side. One tactical adjustment that Luis Enrique made that Hansi Flick had no answer for. They went to a 3-4-3. That's how he has a higher starting position. And you see Hakimi, a lot of that advanced starting position came in the second half. And as I said, third man runs against this Barcelona side, and Nico pointed out to a T, it starts with the third man runs. Rayo Vallecano exploited them. They couldn't finish it. This PSG side, they have the best fullback in world football, and now he's entering a different... Fullback. In world football, and now Hakimi's entering a different conversation of, in the modern era, he's starting to enter a different conversation of one of the best in the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years. I'll give him that, man. On both sides of the ball.
I think
what he's done from a leadership standpoint, right? No Marquinhos.
Yep.
He's got the captain's armband. The assist aside, for him to go and make that goal-saving tackle speaks a lot about his character. Paris is home for him now.
No, I understand.
It's become home for him, and he's put his team alongside Nuno Mendes on his back tonight to lead the team in a historic win. That was outstanding. And as I said, Lamine Yamal, we could talk about the Ballon d'Or all we want. We could talk about Lamine Yamal all we want, but he was outshone by Hakimi, in my opinion, tonight.
I agree with you. I just think Hakimi's always been there. I think for me personally, we probably just don't, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But I think for a period of time now, he's proven himself to be one of the best fullbacks in world football. I understand he's captain, but he's also captain of his national side, Morocco. So for me, he's already been up there. I don't think he's taken it to another level. It's what he does, but he's probably just getting the recognition now that he truly deserves, or probably deserved from some years ago. They've got the two best fullbacks in world football. 100%. There is no comparison in any other team with those two playing.
Yeah, I think also I've always heard the story of Hakimi's not maybe appreciated enough.
Yeah.
Like you just said, Nigel. We've got actually a user comment because today's show is on YouTube, so you can comment down below and we're going to be reacting to your comments live on the show. Someone said Enrique Masterclass owns Barca.
100%. We've already said it. This is one of those that Luis Enrique will look back on and say, yeah, that was a bit of me. That was a tactical adjustment in understanding who my opponent is and using their strengths against them. That is what we talk about, the game within the game, right? You have both been on the sidelines. You know, sometimes it isn't just a physical thing, it's a mental thing as well. And Luis Enrique really understood who Hansi Flick was, utilised the system against him, utilised what he thought was his strengths and his advantages, and said, no, we're going to play you at your own game. We're going to wait for you to get comfortable enough in this system, feel like you're pressing us, you're putting us in areas we can't play. But as soon as those three centre midfielders were on that starting 11, there should have been an adjustment from Hansi Flick to understand you cannot press this team like that. They're just too good around the corner and they're too good at manipulating the ball to allow them to just be contained in, and they got exactly what they deserve.
It's also, for me personally, I believe that there is no plan B for Barcelona. And when you don't have a plan B as a player, as a manager, coach, you know they're only going to play this way. This is what they're going to do for 90 minutes. It makes it more easier for you to be able to adjust and change and find different ways to maybe affect them. But if you know they're not willing to change and they won't change, you're going to have the better if you've got the players on the day who are going to perform. And that's what it is. There is no plan B for Barcelona. We always said it. We've been saying it for so long. You cannot play that crazy high line, especially when you're facing another top team with world-class players, intelligent players who know how to time their run to get in. You're asking for trouble. And I think the difference with PSG compared to Barcelona is we've seen PSG suffer. We've seen PSG, their run to win the Champions League last year wasn't plain sailing. They had to fight to just about make the next round of last 16 and then go on to there. And even then they had a tough time at Aston Villa in their second leg. They had a tough time with Arsenal, but they went on to win it. But they showed that they could suffer and defend and not play their high pressing way that they always want to play. They showed more sides of being able to win a football match than we've seen from Barcelona.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a manager in Luis Enrique that, in my opinion, he's reinventing how we see football, right? You go to the Catalan capital and you have such a pulse on your team that you know your biggest strengths and Barcelona's biggest weakness is their back line. And the two fullbacks for Barcelona were dreadful tonight. They were made to look dreadful. And he put the game on PSG's terms, switching the tactics in the second half. And I love the confidence that he's given the young players. Ibrahim Mbaye, 1v1, you started seeing his confidence build like a tidal wave. And Senny Mayulu, I mean, to be a young man at 19 years old, to have come off scoring in the Champions League final against Inter, and now you can put your second Champions League goal comes against FC Barcelona.
Yeah.
That comes from, and you've been there as a young player, Nige, that comes from a manager who's willing to take risks that other managers aren't. But from a tactical perspective, I thought he highlighted Barcelona's biggest weaknesses right now. Alejandro Balde not being there, Gerard Martin was seeing ghosts. And the ghost he'll see tonight is Bradley Barcola and Achraf Hakimi, and that's all down to Luis Enrique. Masterclass.
Yeah, 100%. Michael's 100% right. When you got a manager that's got that, and the thing when you look at PSG, and again, they're a team. They've all bought into Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique is the alpha, the man that's running the show. Everyone that gets an opportunity goes in and plays and does their job. They are a united team. So on that note, JD, who is the best team in the world football?
I'm going to say it.
Who is the best team in world football?
Chelsea.
You don't win the Champions League in October, right? That's fundamentally understood. But at the same time, you can send a statement to your rivals by beating them in the manner that you did tonight. And you can definitively say you are the best team.
Can you just answer the question?
I just said it. You are the best team in world football.
You are not.
Paris Saint-Germain are the best team in world football.
Thank you.
Because they're able to demonstrate they can win games in more than one way. And that is essential in terms of adaptability.